Cinema is a reflection of telling the stories of what we see.
From Allu Arjun to Ram Charan to Nag, I mean, who haven't you worked with?
I can have chemistry with anything.
Tamil, Telugu movies. Did she feel out of place initially?
From the time of the 70s and 60s particularly, there were many more female-driven stories.
Course.
I think when you hit 30, you're just like, ugh, whatever. Which is the worst film to costume assist on. There's so many people to dress up. You can be bullied only when you're like, ouch, it hurts when you pinch me. But if you're like, yeah, pinch me more, chalo.
So you missed meeting Shah Rukh Khan and...
No, I met him.
I see that in your web series.
Yeah.
I think you're pretty scary in bestseller.
Sometimes becomes a chicken and egg situation, but mostly I would say, you know, art imitates life.
Shruti, it's a real pleasure to be here with you. The last time we spoke was in the middle of the lockdown and you were still quite energetic doing hula hoops. I don't know how you do it. But today I wanted to talk to you about your cinematic work especially, because we're in Hyderabad, the heart of Telugu cinema, which the world has suddenly woken up to.
Suddenly.
So let's talk a little about that and how you knew that it was always big. But it's just that Bollywood and Bombay and maybe the North just woke up to it late.
Well, first of all, good evening, everyone. I'm so pleased to be here today, especially for such a momentous occasion. And I love that Curiosity movie. And I love that kid. That kid was just so brilliant. Well, thank you for having me and pleasure speaking with you. I don't think I woke up to it, honestly. But I do know one thing. I was never enamored by Mumbai or Bollywood being this like special, you know, Gattaca or superstar spaceship or something, you know, because I grew up with multilingual parents and the access to, you know, even the Hindi film industry was quite, you know, I didn't see the difference really. But for me, Telugu holds a very special place because, you know, launching into cinema with Hindi and then Tamil, just a stone's throw away, grew up in Chennai. I never ever had a very deep-rooted historic familial connection to Hyderabad or Telugu cinema at all. But I did remember coming here to receive an award on behalf of my father, and I said I'll be back here to get my own. And I think maybe it was fate and destiny that brought me to the Telugu film industry, a language I never even spoke, and learned the ways and the cultures of this place, and it's been a great gift to me, truly.
How old were you then?
When I went to receive the award, I think I was about 12.
Wow.
Yeah, 11 or 12.
I recently saw a lovely video of hers. She's all of 6, I think. Her front teeth are missing. And her father is introducing her on stage and asking her to perform. Talk a little about that and telling her to hold her equilibrium.
Well, equipoise. That was backstage. Yeah, it was, you know, I think that was the moment for me where I realized, you know, when you're a kid, you don't understand things like ego. You don't understand, you know, parameters and variables of things. But I remember like rehearsing this with my parents and they had this little skit and then I had to sing. And the applause I got after that, my head didn't compute that it was maybe because I was a kid or whose kid. It's just a feeling I got addicted to, you know, singing and getting that applause. So that's a memory that will always stay very special to me.
You know, the other thing I feel about you, Shruti, and I've seen your work and I especially loved you in D-Day. I thought you were just... I've never seen anyone looking so sensuous on screen.
Really?
It was just brilliant.
I was trying to be, okay, that backfired. I was trying to appear helpless and needed saving.
No, you looked nothing like that. You looked very much in command of the situation, as you always do. And in 3, I think you looked just, and you were just so perfect there. And also,
thank you.
I think the chemistry with Dhanush was so wonderful.
I like to have chemistry with everyone, even a chair, even a table. I can have chemistry with anything.
But I was coming to the fact that you do have chemistry with some of the biggest stars of the Telugu film industry who we've suddenly realized who are just enormous stars. I mean, from Allu Arjun to Ram Charan to Nag, I mean, Who haven't you worked with?
I mean, if we made a hypothetical list, they'd be full of ticks. So I've been blessed.
Yeah. So what has that experience been like over the years? You've done 50 films in 13 years. Sometimes I feel you don't give yourself enough credit for what you've achieved. It's a remarkable achievement. And finally, I think the industry has also, all the industries, they're also sort of waking up, or in a way catching up with you. You know,
not just me, I think with women and women-led stories. I'm sure you know, ma'am, like from the time of the 70s and 60s particularly, there were many more female-driven stories, even in Tamil cinema, Malayalam cinema, Telugu cinema, you know, you name it. And I think just like the West, you know, when you had like, you know, the Top Gun movies come in. Oh, I love the new one, but still, you know what I mean. That kind of action-packed, male bravado, you know, sort of patriarchal storytelling in a sense. It kind of happened even in the West, so I think we kind of fell into that. And now I just have a slight aversion to the term like female-led stories. Stories are stories. It could be led by a child, like that wonderful piece we just saw, or it could be a woman of any age, which is something I'm very much more interested in, because I think the fun part now begins in, oh, it's not enough just to say female-oriented story. It's about how many shades do women have, how many different kinds of women there are, and how many different kinds of stories there are in our country. So that's really the exciting part for me. And I'm really glad to be in this industry at this time and have the opportunity to explore.
Right. But what is it that you learned over the years? What not to do rather than what to do?
I think I've learned patience, but not enough. I need to learn more patience. But I've learned a lot from like, I think especially not so much in the beginning, because it took me a long time to realize that I was in, you know, if it was like the Wizard of Oz, that I was at the Emerald Gates. Like I was already there, and I was still kind of journeying through understanding, and people would find that surprising because you think, oh, well, she's such and such's daughter, she should have figured this out. I didn't, you know, because I came from a world of musicians and extreme liberal, verbose, kind of different world to what you're supposed to be here. So it took me a while to find my feet, you know, and when I did, I started to enjoy people for the individual traits they had, be it a director, be it a producer, be it an actor, and kind of learned from each person and each experience.
Because let's go back to that fact that you grew up with the great Ulaganayagan, and I think also the wonderful Sarika, who's doing such amazing work even now. I saw her in My Beautiful Wrinkles, and she's so lovely. And you were just talking about her fashion sense earlier, where talk a little about that, and then we'll come to the fact that growing up with these two amazing individuals, you knew that they were your parents, but you also knew that they were people who were superbly talented, and you know, they were doing something totally creative. I mean, you were costume assistant, what, at the age of
14.
14 on Hey Ram, which
is the worst film to costume assist on. There's so many people to dress up.
So many, but what stars and what legends. And I think a film that really has stood the test of time. I think.
But I wasn't allowed to go to the stars' rooms to give them the clothes. I was allotted all the extras and the junior artists, so.
So you missed meeting Shah Rukh Khan and...
No, I met him, but I didn't get to like carry his clothes to him.
That's very mean of your father. But talk a bit about that, and sort of growing up on the sets, you were saying with Gems and Pepsi, and you were of course the director, the actor's daughter, the superstar's daughter. But you also had a sense that your father and your mother were doing something totally incredible and creative, I presume.
You know, the thing is, it's that ghar ki murgi syndrome, right? Like when you're at home, you know, your dad or your mom could be the leading brain surgeon or architect, and you're just like, my dad makes buildings. So for me, it was like, my dad makes movies, my mom is a part of that world. And I used to find it really fascinating to see my friends' parents who went to work in a suit and be like, my dad never wears a suit, you know, to work in the morning. So it's always fascinating, you know, on the other side. Whereas my friends would be like, oh, your dad's job is so cool. I never took it for granted, I would say, but my parents never brought me up with the sense of, you know, we are these people. They were just normal parents. And the most valuable thing for me growing up was the school that I went to, because then those parents weren't like that either. Right. They were just, and my friends were just like, yeah, it's Kamal uncle, he comes for sports day sometimes, you know. So that kind of set the tone for them being people and me understanding them as people. And they never spoke down to me as a kid, so that helped.
Yeah, I mean, if at the age of 6 your father's telling you about equipoise.
Yeah, it's his 2 favorite words is equipoise and equilibrium. And I think we're all trying to achieve it till our dying day.
I mean, it's pretty damn tough being in your shoes. But you do that quite well. So over the years, how have you sort of, as I was saying, learned to say no rather than learn to say yes?
I think it's about accepting your own frailties and strengths. So to kind of feed off of what Dad said, I stopped trying to have equipoise and equilibrium. I tried to own my imbalance in every sense.
Flaws.
My flaws. And the fact that, you know, some of us keel and veer towards a different direction. Equipoise and equilibrium can mean different things societally or familially. So it was about finding that version for myself, really.
So that journey, you've also been very open about it, which is, I think, what makes you a tremendous star, and I think gives you a tremendous following on social media as well. It's very rare to have someone who's happy to own her insecurities and her flaws and to admit to them and, you know, say that, hey, you know, I may be like you. And that resonates with a lot of young women.
Well, the funny thing is, the things I've spoken about, be it mental health or, you know, things relating to female health, these aren't flaws. But you start to feel like you're made to feel
that they're...
Yeah, that they're flaws. So then I was like, oh, these aren't flaws. And, you know, whether it's... Yeah, this is chemical, this is, you know, physiological, this is psychological. So I just felt, you know, I grew up reading interviews of, like, you know, musicians that I loved, and be it like Kurt Cobain or Tori Amos, so, and they would be so honest about their journey that it would inspire me, and I'd be like, oh, they wrote these brilliant pieces of music from overcoming things and from fighting, you know, and playing in the light and shadows so bravely that I was like, I didn't find it, I mean, it took me a while, but I was like, oh, this is the way to speak to people, I felt.
Right. So the girl who loved Kurt Cobain, who grew up on Buster Keaton, when she did Luck, when she did, you know, Tamil, Telugu movies, did she feel out of place initially?
Completely. I still kind of do, but what I've done is kind of like realize that I have different facets to myself. And if I can't just live in grunge heavy metal land, you know, I wouldn't be happy.
You do have a safety pin today.
Yeah, I do have a safety pin.
I'm glad.
But
you shouldn't ever let that grungy
No, it doesn't leave, you know, and it came back really hard after 30 because I was like, I think when you hit 30, you're just like, ugh, whatever, you know, so I'm just going to be me. But I find it really amazing, and I would recommend it to anyone and everyone to kind of be honest to all facets of yourself, even the part you don't expect. And the part that I didn't expect was to be a Telugu film heroine. Yeah.
A Telugu film star. So are you now happy about it? Do you embrace it? But do you still want more from it? Because let's face it, they're big stars, but it's pretty male-dominated.
Oh, I think we live in a male-dominated society, so I want more from society first in terms of that. You know, I don't think it's fair to single out cinema. Cinema is a reflection of telling the stories of what we see. So, you know, it sometimes becomes a chicken and egg situation, but mostly I would say, you know, art imitates life. I would say that, you know, what was your question?
My question was that do you not want to see...
no, I'm really happy, you know, finally in the spaces I'm in, because I'm kind of like a ghost that can walk through walls now, and I feel like I very seamlessly walk through my music, through my writing, through walking into even film roles that are now variedly different from each other. So this has been the best time of my life because I've allowed myself to be like a cloud walker.
As you said, a teleporter.
Yeah, teleporter.
Yeah, I love that description. So you know, I've read some of your lyrics, and of course, I've heard you sing as well. The kind of pain and the kind of trauma that you exhibit there, I wonder if you were to put that into storytelling as well. I mean, of course, songs are a way of storytelling as well, but movies or web series, I mean, is that something that you want to look at?
You mean like if I created it?
Yes.
Yeah,
wrote
maybe
your
in
own
the future.
characters, wrote your own
I think we lose judgment of ourselves when we start describing ourselves. So I'm always averse to like, I'm writing an autobiographical piece now. You know, with the songs, it's cathartic and it comes out like very freely, you know. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to in the future. I'd love to give grey women a voice. And I believe I'm one of those women who live in the twilight and really enjoy it. There's no good and bad, and these kind of things don't apply to my logical mind. And I think those women are the most fun, and I'd love to see more of them, so I'd like to create more of them.
And I think you're doing that in, I see that in your web series.
Yeah.
I think you're pretty scary in bestseller.
Thank you, I take that as a huge compliment.
Of course, you should. That's the whole idea. But those characters being written now, isn't that...
But isn't it funny that you find her character scary?
Yeah,
but why?
So. I think
because she's vengeful.
Yes.
But if a man did it in a film, you'd think he's really cool for avenging.
That is my conditioning.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not just yours, it's everyone's. And that's the fun I had with that character, which is like, so if a woman wants something and goes after it, okay, and if it's destroying someone, then it's really bad. Yeah, but every other action movie is a man destroying lots of buildings, cars, people, human beings, puppies on the road, and it's okay.
But that's it. I think, so we are seeing a new kind of woman being born as well on screen.
Absolutely.
Right? And you're part of that. And I guess it's something that you're enjoying thoroughly.
I am. And I'm enjoying that even as a human being. Just keeping the woman thing separate, like I'm not like burning BRAs here, but you know what I mean. Like keeping that aside, as a human being, I think we live in some of the most challenging times right now. And there's toxic positivity online. Like you must be feeling better. You must be sun-kissed with a glow and super happy right now. And there isn't. It's not possible with the pandemic, with the loss people have faced, with you know, the mental pressure that people have faced, financial. You have to realize that we're making the best, and there's a positivity that's not Insta-friendly. It's very real, and each individual person will make, you know, their own hue of what their life is.
Right. And some of the comments can be pretty, they can be pretty demeaning, and they can also
Mine are not so bad, fortunately.
Thank God. But when they do come, how do you...
They used to a lot more. Now I think, you know what, when you say, हाँ भाई मैं ऐसे ही हूँ, they give up. It's just not that much fun to pick on the person anymore. You can be bullied only when you're like, ouch, it hurts when you pinch me. But if you're like, yeah, pinch me more, chalo, let's have a conversation about the pinch you just gave me. They're
have
just
you done
like,
that sometimes?
Yes, I have. I've addressed
with your
it. In the sense, I've not addressed the individual troll, because bless their hearts, but they don't deserve that attention. But, you know, in a general sense, yes. I have addressed the topic at large.
Or what does she know? She's Kamal Hassan's daughter.
Oh no, I think they've moved way past that.
On from there?
I mean, I'm 30 plus now, and like I've been paying my own bills for a long time, so I think they figured. Although when I do, you know, buy something nice for myself, they say baap ne kharid ke diya. So that's okay. I mean, I have the thing, I guess.
I once, in fact, heard you describe your surname as something you carry, like a
designer handbag.
Like a handbag. Right.
But I've got to fill it with the money. Yeah.
And you've got to buy the designer handbag as well.
No, yourself. That handbag got passed down to me. You know, I'm very blessed. Yeah, I don't even think, well, is one generation vintage? I don't know.
Yeah, well, today, yeah.
I don't think my father would be like, I mean,
no,
the vintage term.
Don't
do that.
Vikram.
No. But, I mean, I'm so grateful for this name. That's a gift that's been passed down. But I've also been raised with that sense of, it's not just some stuff you get for free. You have to pick it up and hold it up in your own way, whatever way that is. So I'm very grateful for the freedom that was allowed to me, you know, to do it in my own way.
Right.
Yeah.
Did your father ever say, you know, maybe you should do this, maybe you should choose this? Did your mother ever say that? Maybe
they tried.
They did?
Yeah, they tried.
I'm surprised they did.
I think I've just been kind of like one of those kids who is just really stubborn, and I think I'm still that kid who's really stubborn.
So you just did what?
No, I took their advice when it really counted, because I knew that if I don't want to slip and fall flat on my face, though I have done that a couple of times. I don't generally take to advice very well. That's the truth. And advice that's been of great value to me has always come from the most unexpected source.
Really?
Like it could be something a kid says, or it could be something that someone randomly on a movie set said. And then one day I was, and I hate to say this, but I was on Instagram and I read something, and it's a very old quote, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to live my life completely differently now. And it said, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And I was like, how come I've not heard this before? So, and that really kind of changed my perspective to the way I write, the way I perform, and the way I am every day.
Right. So it could be anything.
It could be really anything.
So you took a break, Shruti, in between. I think it was what, 3 years?
Yeah, around 2-3 years. Yeah.
How important was that? And was that just for your music, or was that also to sort of redefine yourself as a human being?
Yeah, I think it was basically because I felt like I was on this treadmill, and we all feel that at some point. We're just like, you know, we're in the job, we're doing the right thing, we're doing what we're supposed to. But there's a niggling part of you that doesn't want to wake up on Monday at 9 a.m. And then that part starts to take over. In my case, I didn't ignore it. I listened to it, and my version of Monday morning. And I said, no, I need to realign myself. I didn't like a lot of the work I was doing, in the sense...
Although you were doing...
I didn't enjoy it. Yeah. I felt there was more within me, and that had nothing to do with the exterior world. It was a very internal process of understanding who I was. And then people might say, but what did you come back and do? That's so awesome. But you know what? I love that break that I took, because I could recalibrate myself. And I think whether it's personally, professionally, taking the time to recalibrate and reiterate who you are is very important. And my favorite artists have always done that with themselves and their career. Like I hate to say it now because she's not doing it, but Madonna, you know,
but she did.
She did it consistently, and even in my own home, my father constantly did it. You know, my mum did it in her own way, especially her personal life, then determining her professional choices. So I've seen that a lot around me as well.
Right. So when you look back at that little kid, that toothless kid of 6, or even the little kid who was the costume assistant on Hey Ram, do you wonder would you like to give her some advice, or would you say that, you know, maybe you could have done this differently, or maybe done that differently?
I think the advice we need to give all of our younger selves, and I think, is that, you know, we have dreams that are magnificent when we're kids, and reality is extremely important, but those dreams are like the fuel for everyone's life. And as you grow up and you listen to the volume of other people's thoughts, they start to jade you a bit, you know, and you get jaded and you become anxious, and you start to erode on those dreams. You start taking fuel from the dreams that were supposed to live into living a daily boring life. So I would say to myself as a kid that, like, just keep dreaming. And I think that's something I needed to rediscover, you know, post 30, that, yeah, why did I stop doing that? Like, you know, why did I stop dreaming for me?
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
It was lovely. Thanks.
Thank you.